On this channel, $1 Million Made Easy, we love to run numbers for people. And what we do is use the actual historical returns for the S&P 500 for the last 100 years. I've got a request for an individual who's 36 and said he has 100,000 in his TSP. Now, again, we use the S&P 500. I'm not sure if you can do that with a TSP or not, but we run the numbers with the S&P 500. And we project ahead what similar returns might do for you in the future. The resulting numbers are simply a possible range of what may happen in the future. And like I said, we use the S&P 500 because that's what everybody's trying to beat and few consistently do over the long run. Plus, it also has a track record of 100 years going through the Great Depression. So that's why we use it. Again, I need your beginning balance, your monthly contribution, and your desired increase. You want me to run the numbers for you. It's best if it's at least 20 years because you could get a bad decade if we just run it for 10 or 15 years. In this case, we're going to be looking at an individual who's 36 and we're going to run it for 30 years. The numbers are simply going to be mind-boggling. Please consider subscribing, sharing, and liking these videos. Just let others know there's a channel out there that will run numbers for them. And again, I just reiterate, we are using the S&P 500, so we need to take that into account. Let's go ahead and run his number. This is one of the spreadsheets that we use. He says he has 100,000, so that's to be the beginning balance. So we're going to go ahead and put 100,000 in there. Says he can save 1,000 a month. And he says he can, he assumes his pay and contribution will roughly match inflation. So I'm going to go ahead and run that at 3%. So in other words, it'll be 1,000 the first year, then 1,030 and so on. And we're going to go ahead and run the numbers. Again, we're going to look at what the S&P 500 has done for the last 100 years. These are the actual returns that we use. And again, the reason we like to use look at least 20 years, if not 30 or more, is because you could run into a couple of down decades. You could run into really good decades. We don't know. But if you carry it out 30, 35 years, you're going to catch both the good and the bad. That's our reasoning. So going forward, we're going to use these kind of returns, and we're going to come up with a range. So here's what we're going to do here. Go ahead and update this with this scenario, 100,000, 1,000 a month. And we're increasing that 1,000 a month by 3% a year, assuming inflation is probably going to give you raises. So here are the returns. We're going to be looking at the 30-year column. He said 29 or 30, but here's the 30-year column. Over that 30 years, he would have put in $670,905. And in the worst 30-year period, in the last 100 years, the lowest number you're going to see in this column is 3.582 million. The median in this column is 5.368. There's actually a 30-year period in the last 100 years where you would have had $12 million with these kind of numbers. As you can see, we're looking at the 30-year column, and I've color-coded these. 100% of the time, you'd have over 3 million, which is obvious because the minimum is 3.5 million. 54% of the time, you have over 5 million. That's color-coded in blue. And 31% of the time, you have over 7 million. That's color-coded in gold. Let's go ahead and show these down a little bit farther. The 30-year column. Going down through here, again, the gold is over 7 million, excuse me. And we just go down through here and just see the different ones in the 30-year column. All the different color codes there. And again, these other percentages right here. Now, I also want to do one more thing here. I want you to realize that these are awesome numbers, yes, but you also need to realize that there's over that 30-year period, there's going to be inflation. And that's why I like to include this chart right up here. I try to do it and include that in every time we run the numbers for people. We assume a 3% inflation rate, which has historically been about what it's been. That's what these numbers would have the buying power right here. There's 3.582 after 30 years or 3% inflation would have the buying power of 1.4 million. The median of this column is 5.368, would have the buying power of 2.211 in 30 years. And then this one right here, these are the corresponding numbers with inflation. You always want to include inflation because it's just a fact of life. So anyway, these numbers are amazing, but you need to consider what it might be worth in a 30-year period or each of these time periods we pick. So we want to run the numbers for this individual. He asked me to run them. That's what we do on this channel. We run numbers for people. Please consider subscribing. Please like the video. Please let people know about this channel. Let them know there's a channel out there that'll run numbers for them. And again, if you want me to run them for you, just in the comment section, give me your beginning balance, your monthly contribution, and your desired increase, just like this individual did. beginning balance, monthly amount, and if you want to increase or not. We'll go ahead and run the numbers. And again, we believe there's going to be some kind of a range between with these numbers 3.5 million up to 12 million, with the median being 5.368. And this is the buying power of these amounts after 30 years of 3% inflation. So again, that's what we do on this channel. Thanks for watching.